This is Miss Jones. I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hello, me and Mrs. Jones. What's on your mind?
Okay, so let me first preface this with, I love your show. Someone referred me, through a link, and I have been listening to your videos, and I think a lot of what you're saying is very true, particularly about, women and relationships and things of that nature. But I will have to say, though, I sense a sense of, it seems like you're bitter against women in their 40s. I am a woman in my 40s. I am a single woman. I was raised by my father. I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Detroit. I'm educated. I have a degree. But the thing about it is, the women who are in my area and during the time that I came out of school, our parents, really were like, what, focus on your education. Don't worry about getting married. You want to be able to take care of yourself. And I think a lot of that comes from them seeing pitiful black men, frankly.
Okay, let me find out a couple of things here. First of all,
okay,
you made a statement here, and let's see if we can find out exactly what your justification for that is. You made a statement of saying that I strike you as, quote, bitter at women over 40. Now, bitter is a word that had, okay, be quiet. Bitter is a word that has a definition. You can't just be some ignoramus grabbing a word and using it out of context without its definition. So in the definition of the word bitter, what is it that you have heard that sounds bitter?
Well, first of all, in my opinion, when someone is bitter, when they speak, there's a harshness to it that is uncalled for and unnecessary.
Harshness is an opinion. Harshness is not a fact. Harshness is an opinion. It could be that you're just a very weak individual who, when you hear the truth, you're just so sensitive because it strikes you in a place you don't like, that to you, the truth is just harsh to you. That could be a possible.
Well,
could that actually?
That could be.
Okay, thank you. So if that could be, then it may be you're just a weak person, and that hearing the truth for the first time ever, you just interpret it as harsh because you've never actually had to deal with somebody telling the straight truth without trying to taint it or dilute it to spare your feelings. So it may just be that you're a bit weak. You're probably a bit weak and fragile. And it's maybe time for you to actually take a look in the mirror and say, wow, I've been kind of weak and fragile. And I mistake that for my weakness and my fragility, because I've never had people talk to me honestly before. I've insisted that they lied to me. In my weakness and fragility, I have become a person who's so weak that I interpret something as basic as truth to be, quote, harsh.
Okay, so, the bottom line is, that is my interpretation when I hear you speak.
Correct, but let's be very clear. It's your feeling.
In your high school years by the beautiful women, and then now that those women have aged, now you want to pay everyone. But
ma'am, the problem with that statement is men are not looking for women in their 40s. That's the problem. Nobody wants you. You're in your 40s. Nobody's competing for you, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm happily single.
Are you married?
I'm happily single and rejecting females like you.
I'm happily single also.
No, you're not, ma'am. You're on my phone angry. You're very much not happy at all. Yes, you are. You're literally on my phone right now, raising your voice and screaming. You're as angry. You're the one who's bitter. So that's called projection. You're the one that nobody wants, ma'am.
Jason, I don't think so. I'm on your line.
And I'm not on yours.
How you come across.
I'm not on your line. You called me. I would never call you.
Saying things about black women, number one, that have pulled the
Look how loud you are. Now she claims she's not angry, and look how loud and angry she is.
Jason.
She is loud and angry.
Dear heart,
while claiming she's not.
dear heart,
she's such a
I am not
happy
angry.
person. Doesn't her voice sound
But
happy
because
to
you
all of
won't
you?
let
Hey,
a
everybody,
black
doesn't she
woman
sound
with
so
an
happy and
opinion
fulfilled?
a point across, then you want to say that we're all loud, that we're all bitter, just like the typical pitiful black man that ain't never got no, excuse my French, pussy.
This is what happens
In
when
his
you're a
college
size
days,
8. When you're a size
he was
18 and men have
rejected
ignored
by
you
all
into
the
middle
fly
age, this is
women.
what happens.
So now he's on a platform and he feels like a big man because maybe he got some money. And let me say this.
No maybe,
father
ma'am, no maybe,
loved
no
me.
maybe about
And
it.
guess
If
what?
I might have a moment here to flex, it ain't no maybe, baby.
No,
My
I don't
money,
want to
my
hear you
paper
flex.
is straight.
I done heard you flex for the past 6 months. I've listened to your videos.
Oh, she is triggered now, isn't she?
Have a woman in your life to add balance. Perhaps you should work on your personality so that you can get the quality of woman that you are. And let me see you get a woman that you're talking about, a high-class, high-value woman, and then you come back on your platform and you show me how it's done.
Would you like
you do
me
that?
to?
I would. I want to see what your better half looks like. And I'm pretty sure you're going to probably have to buy her because at the end of the day, you sound like a man who has been rejected, who has issues with women. And let me tell you something, Jason. I actually really love most of your content. I really do. A lot of what you said makes sense. But I do feel this way about you right now.
Ma'am, why would anybody care what a over 40 overweight female thinks? Why would we care what you think?
See, you have to resort to insult.
Ma'am, that's not an insult.
And
No, that's not an insult. That's a statement of fact. You called me up to complain about my statements. Why would anybody care? You asked me if I was single. Why would anyone care what you think? You're over 40 and overweight. Ma'am, we're not going to argue and you're not going to talk over the host. You have exhausted your entertainment ability. You asked me if I was single. I'm now saying you're over 40. Why would anyone care what an over 40 overweight female thinks?
You know what the bottom line is?
Ma'am, that's a simple question. That's a simple question.
From a child, you're walking.
That is a simple question.
One, and you think more highly of yourself.
Ma'am, but you're over 40 and overweight. Nobody cares what you think.
Of yourself.
This is what. Do you all see why she's angry?
Let me tell you something. If I was 50,
ma'am, if you're off the line, understand something. Now, I want you all to be aware here. I let her talk, and she's exhausted her entertainment capacity. But you all see. I want you to understand. Now, that was really a good example. That was really a good example of a few things. First of all, she said, you're bitter about women over 40. That's a female who blew it in her 20s. She blew it. She had her chance. She had her opportunity to get it popping. She failed. She blew it. She's probably one of these females. In her case, she probably went to college and failed to get her degree, but she does have the kids and everything else in tow. And she blew it. So now she's angry that the black males who are producers, and let's just be very clear, she also admitted and conceded what she was really angry about. Did you hear what she said? And the problem is that because you got some black men like you who y'all got a little money and you got a little money up under you. And she's looking around at her situation and she's looking around at her life and she's saying to herself, well, I'll be damned. She's saying to herself, I'll be damned. You see, it's one thing when you hear these things from a fella who ain't got it. It's one thing when you hear these things from a fella that you know it ain't right. It's one thing when you hear these things from a fella who doesn't have the intellectual, mental, psychological, or financial resources. It's one thing when you hear it from him. It's quite another thing when you hear it from a dude who you know his paper is straight. You know his paper is straight. So she admitted and exposed what she's really angry about. You got these black men's who, when they gets middle-aged, they money is straight. They got a little paper up on them, and you done left us big old, big jiggly middle-aged broads behind. Yeah, we did. Can't lie. Yeah, we did. Can't lie to you. You that 88 Corolla with 400,000 miles on you, baby. I can't. What am I supposed to do with this?